Hey guys, I'm going to be making some changes to the portfolio over the weekend coming into Tuesday. So I'll be making some move next week and we're going to start adding some momentum stocks since it seems that's the kind of market we're in. I also want to look at some other ones that are interesting from a longer term perspective and just the recent activity. One of them is Coca-Cola European Partners. This is an interesting stock on many levels from a 10-year to 5-year to 1-year chart. I'm going to show you why. We're going to go top down here. So the 10-year looks really interesting. Once again, simple charts, Bollinger Bands, common moving averages, but you're coming into a mid-Bollinger with some power here, and you're getting ready to do a longer-term MACD crossover. We haven't been able to do that in quite some time, so we did have a breakdown, and then you had some pretty good consolidation for a couple of years, and had this big drop off top to lower bottom to the bottom Bollinger, and kind of faded a little bit. Now we're starting to push up here. From a monthly perspective, you have 5 green monthly candles, and it's pretty strong coming into the mid Bollinger. If you came in with a flat MACD, I would think that it's a little bit of caution would be advisable, but we're coming in with a pretty sharp MACD turn up, so it looks like it's got some power to push through there. Really interesting too is that if you look at the volume, big volume drop here, and here's your recovery. So from a psychological perspective, you couldn't get above that line, and if you look on a monthly, you kind of retest it and then you drop. But now this month has engulfed that area, and that's very bullish. In fact, you've got to the top of the wick and a close above that. So longer term perspective, super interesting that you're able to overcome these downdrafts with high volume. And I'm going to show you as we kind of pull back into a 1-year why this is also looking interesting. So pulling back in a little bit, now we're looking at a 2-year weekly. The interesting thing is that the 8 SMA on the weekly has been a little bit of an Achilles heel. We dropped off here, held in this area, broke down, put a wick through it on the weekly, but couldn't hold it, opened right there on the line. And now we have a break above it, and now we have a very discernible uptrend with touches here and there on the 8 SMA on the weekly. So a nice channel here. Interesting thing now too is that you're above this close. In fact, we put the tail in right on that close, and now we're pushing up through it. So we're probably heading into a congestion area here on the 2-year, which is nice. And I'm going to show you another 1-year too that makes it even more compelling. So any of you guys have subscribed know I use these little pivots for directional changes on trend lines. So you can see kind of the change in direction here, what I call a pivot. You can call it whatever you want, but not necessarily a breakout, especially when you don't have a long period of consolidation. You have more of a V. So this is a 1-year daily. Change in direction here, drop off. You do get a push above it, but like I always say, it's time over and time under. 1 day doesn't do it for me. It's usually 2 or 3. Big drop off. Then you get this slow progression here. So another thing I also look at is psychology. You can see this big gap down here, probably a news-driven event. I haven't looked into it. Whenever you have a big gap down like this, you're going to get some bargain hunting. And then when that fails, it's a real negative psychologically. So you get the spike here on the daily. You kind of get a retest, and then it just fails right there. So, the area where you'd say the failure occurred was the drop off here, the bounce, and then just the complete drop there. So I kind of put this area here as a psychological, directional change. And if you look along here, it's pretty much in the same areas that we changed direction from a longer term or intermediate term perspective, at least on the yearly. So another positive. So you're above this channel. You can call it a psychological channel from the drop off, and now you're getting some momentum away from this channel here. You're starting to form a new channel. So a quick look back at the 1-year weekly. It's following an 8 SMA on the weekly. Change in direction here. Obviously the breakdown here. Change in direction here. Unable to get back above it. Here's your breakout. Pretty simple. And no closes below it. A few touches. Another touch here. So we're definitely following an 8 EMA channel. You can simplify this a little bit. Since we're on a weekly, we can use tails and wicks. I like to use opens and closes on the daily, but you're kind of following a little bit of a channel here. So you get a 2% dividend. Longer term, I said this thing looks like it's interesting, like it's changing a directional pattern on a longer term perspective. So if you follow the 8, you could probably buy a little bit next week and then just be able to add some down, if we get down here. Or you can be patient and just see if we can get to the lower end here in the 3940s. Obviously, it's moving in time. A very discernible channel, though, from the on the 1 year here with this 8 SMA. You can see it right here a little bit more clear, but definitely one to watch. I got plenty more that we're going to look at over the weekend, but nice little channel here on CCE, very bullish. And finally, in closing on CCE, Coca European, this is a really clean look now. You got some short-term moving averages. If we remove the 200, you're actually getting 100 ready to cross over 200. I haven't seen that in a while. I want to get the 200 out of there. And now you can see at the very beginning here, you have a bit of a golden cross here. Your short-term breaking above the 50. So back in the beginning of the year, this started to move, and now once again a very nice pattern where you get some separation here with your shorter and longer term moving averages all in the same direction. A nice clean spacing. So definitely one to add to the portfolio. At least take a little bit, I think. And obviously, if we pull back here along the moving averages, we can add a little bit and then set a stop. There's something definitely going on in CCE from a longer term perspective. As far as the price target is concerned, back to the 10-year monthly. Here's our breakout from a longer term perspective, and then the trend line that we kind of follow on a monthly. Once again, you can use tails on monthlies, no problem. But maybe the breakdown pivot around 45 and change is going to give us some heavy resistance. But we can be patient here. Definitely has had a move, no doubt about it. We were close to 30, and now we're up about 30% or so, maybe a little bit more. Nice closes though. For the first time, we're breaking out of this little consolidation around 41. So getting above there, definitely a positive. Longer term, this looks good. If something changes, obviously we can adjust, but we're breaking up into this, higher trading pattern. So very positive on CCE, at least for now.